Hey everybody, welcome back to another Judgment commentary of Sword Art Online Alicization, but today I'm going to be checking out episodes 4 through 7. Now last time, our story began with Kirito, once again, getting mixed up in some VR world nonsense. This time though, the technology was a little different than what we're used to. It relied on some stuff that was supposed to generate the VR world like in their mind, kind of like a dream. But the weird thing is, in this world, he was still Kirito, but he was younger. And he had some friends in there with him, and he didn't have any memories of his actual life for some reason. And it seems like any of the other players in this game don't either. Long story short with that first part, Kirito and his friends wandered off into a cave, went off on the other side of the mountain where they weren't supposed to be. Poor Alice takes one step over the line, and then she gets dragged off to presumably be executed, I guess. And meanwhile, back in the real world, Kirito's just walking along with Asuna, when all of a sudden, one last member of Laughing Coffin hunted him down and wanted to finish the job. You'd think Kirito might have stood a good chance against this guy. He's held his own in the real world in the past, and he was armed with an umbrella, so you'd think he might be able to do something, but nope. Kirito, well, he got stabbed in the chest with one of those frickin' injector things, shot it right into his heart, and next thing he knew, he woke up in the frickin' VR world. We still don't know why, but he's there. He has all his memories from the real world, but he doesn't have any memories of when he was there before, which is weird, and none of the people there remember him being there either, so not sure how that works. And poor Kirito, man, he just can't escape Laughing Coffin's wrath. You know, he's part of a raid that goes to take them out one time, and all the Laughing Coffin members single him out to frickin' murder him. Oh. It's not like he was the one leading the charge against them or anything. He was just there participating in it. Why do they all hate him so much? But hey, at least he managed to get one little jab with the umbrella right into the dude's leg. Great aim, if I do say so myself. So yeah, things are definitely mixed up a little bit from previous arcs in Sword Art Online. I mean, Kirito's fate in reality is left unknown, completely ambiguous. We don't know what's going on with him. I assume he's probably just in like a coma or something, and his brain is just backed up into this game as like a last resort, maybe? And it's also a circumstance where the players in this game, don't know that the world they're in is fake. I mean, I assume a lot of the people in here are actual players and not just NPCs. Kirito himself speculated that they probably aren't NPCs because they're very advanced, but I guess some of them could just be really advanced NPCs, but I'm assuming at least a few of them, a good chunk of them that we've ran into so far, have been actual people playing this. That's my assumption, but we'll see about that. For now, let us just depart. Now, the obvious place to begin would be with the whole soul situation, I guess you could call it, where this dude, whose name I haven't said out loud so I can't remember, he's been playing the long game. He joined up with that Ministry of Defense and, set all this up with Sword Art Online just so he could kickstart his own project that involved creating an advanced AI from the bottom up rather than from the top down like is usually done. And his method of doing so? Copying a human soul and creating a digital duplicate of said human soul, which would effectively be an artificial intelligence, although you could debate how artificial that is because it's a direct copy of real intelligence, so it kind of blurs the line there. And of course, initially you're gonna go for copying just a regular individual's soul to try to do that, and it works, but the only problem is, if you tell them that they're a copy, they have a breakdown, a mental breakdown, because of course they would. If they're an exact copy, they're not going to feel like they're a copy. They're going to think that they're real, and if you tell them they're not, well, that'll cause a crisis. And of course, the next natural step is to take babies and copy their souls because they don't have any knowledge of existence yet, not really, and then you just grow them up, you raise them so that they become an artificial intelligence, not bogged down by the worry of being a copy. I mean, technically speaking, if you told them that they were a copy, it would still freak them out. Because they are somebody's copy. The real them that they were copied from is still out there somewhere. But the odd thing would be that that person that they were copied from would be a totally different individual. They would have been raised under completely different circumstances. Also, they'd be much older than the original because the speed up within the virtual world. In fact, their originals are probably still babies. And I wonder if there would be any crossover there, like if it would bring up a nature versus nurture type of thing where maybe they would have similar interests to each other. They would still end up being very different individuals, but maybe they might end up liking the same things, being skilled in similar ways. Who knows? And all this sounds like a really neat project if it wasn't for the moral quandary of creating copies of human souls and putting them in a frickin' RPG, but the other problem is that he's raising them to create soldiers. And this is a really roundabout way of doing that. Drop them off in a frickin' fantasy setting so that you can raise them to be soldiers. But of course, the entire point right now isn't to make them soldiers, it's to try to create AI that can kill. And the weird thing is that they said that there's never been any murders. They created the index to prevent people from killing because they would be punished if they were to do so. And he said there's never been any. But here's the thing. How would they even think to ban it in the first place if nobody had ever done it? I mean, I guess of course you'd be aware of the concept of death and that someone would be able to kill somebody else, but would it even be a necessity to ban it if it hadn't even happened yet? I guess they just have good foresight. And you know what else is weird about the way they described this? He said that it was unintentional, that they had this system admin access that gave them their magic skills. How does that happen by mistake? I'm not sure. I mean, he could have said they gave them that on purpose just so they could have something cool to do, but I mean, I guess it's not a good enough reason. And if I may dart around a tiny bit, Kirito was part of an experiment of taking somebody and aging them down and letting them live in that world and grow up without their memories. If that was a possibility in the first place, why did they even need to take babies and copy their souls? Couldn't they have just copied somebody's soul and then aged it down like they did with Kirito? I guess they didn't think of it right away. They had only thought of it afterward, and then they're like, oh, maybe we can try it with Kirito, because for some reason they wanted to use Kirito because he had experience, but he would lose all that experience if you're aging him down and he doesn't have his memories. So that doesn't even make any sense. Unless he really did have his memories and he was just pretending not to, but then that would defeat the point of the experiment. Yeah, I'm having trouble dealing with that. Somebody explained it to me. But yeah, I gotta point out, right as I say that it was interesting that we don't know what's going on with Kirito, they tell us in the very next episode what's going on with Kirito. But no, they made it 2 episodes without telling us what happened with Kirito. I guess that's still pretty good innings, honestly. Just about 2 episodes without knowing, but as it turns out, he's in a bad spot. He went into cardiac arrest, the oxygen was cut off from his brain for a little bit, and he has potentially suffered brain damage. And, well, I would guess he's more than potentially suffered at this point, given that they're having to try to restructure his brain. He seems to have suffered immense brain damage, but the hope is that they can, by him spending time in this world, I guess piece it back together so that he can be fine again. Yeah, the whole ordeal got very complicated, very fast, with the whole copies of souls so that he can make soldiers, and they weren't even fully clear on how it would make soldiers, how they would fight in wars. Like, what's the idea here? That they would be implanted into other people's bodies? Or that they would have robot bodies? Or that the wars would take place in the virtual world? Because what good would that do? What kind of countries would participate in a fake war in a digital space? They would just attack them for real. I mean, how do you even decide a winner from that? Oh, you beat everyone in the virtual world. Oh well, that's not going to be able to enforce them to listen to you. Oh well, these were definitely what I would call an interesting set of episodes. All the stuff with the soul thing is just, it's very strange. Definitely complicated and strange, but, well, hey, it's still Sword Art Online. It's got the great animation and all that good stuff going for it. Good choreography whenever we get the few fights we've had so far. But I'm guessing we're gonna at least get a pretty decent one out of the next one. With their their swordsman's pride on the line. We'll see how that goes. Kirito's got to test out his new sword on that guy, and we'll see. Maybe he can actually pull out a win here. He's fighting the dude who's number 1. He couldn't even beat his freaking teacher, and she's below that guy only because she believes that she is. And that's another thing, that their skill is tied to their confidence level, apparently, which is an unnecessarily odd thing to include, that it's tied seemingly exclusively to how they believe themselves to be strong, meaning the egotistical types of people who believe they're the on the top of the world are just automatically the best of everybody, and those who are humble just suck, unless there's more to it than just that, and they can also have their own actual skill not directly tied to how high they believe their skill to be. But oh well, I guess I'll see about that. But for now, that's gonna be it, guys. Thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed. Subscribe to be updated on more. That would be great. Next time will be the next set of 4, or maybe even I'll get around to doing the 5 with that one. I don't know when the best time to do that will be. I still owe the individual who commissioned this a 5-episode reaction for this, because the first one was only 3, even though one of them was double length, but I'll have to find the proper time to do 5. I couldn't do it here. I didn't have the proper time for it, but some other time. So for now, guess that's gonna be it. Until we meet again, I will see you guys later.